Let's go deeper into the operator trap and enterprise value. How does being stuck in the operator trap affect the value of the business?
If someone buys a business and they're buying the business to operate the business, then it's maybe less of an issue. Many times people get into business because they want freedom. And then they get in this business and they work really hard, because anytime you start any business, you got to work really hard. You learn that the more hours you work, the better the business does. And you just rinse and repeat as you're growing. And then you box yourself into this golden bars of the operator trap, where there's only 168 hours in a week and you're working all of them that you can. You got to sleep some of them. You maybe want to see your family once in a while. You should probably bathe and eat occasionally. And there's nowhere for growth to go through you anymore. You're trapped.
Building a legacy starts with the bold decision to take a leap of faith. Behind every empire lies a foundation of grit, willpower, and the courage to take big risks. Welcome to Entrepreneurship Unlocked, where world shakers in the business world gather to share their stories. We're diving deep into the mindset of the modern entrepreneur to show you exactly what it takes to become truly unlocked. Join us in the pursuit of excellence with your host, Seth Rudin. This is Entrepreneurship Unlocked.
Hello, this is Seth Rudin. Welcome back to another episode of Entrepreneurship Unlocked. I have the good fortune of introducing Mr. Mike DeJong. He's a multi-business owner, a keynote speaker, and the author of Grow Smart, Your Path to Mastering Freedom from Operator to Owner. Over the past 30 years across multiple industries, including the decade in franchising, Mike has built businesses, turned around struggling operations, and is often the person called to fix what isn't working. He recently exited the majority of his Nothing Bundt Cakes franchises. Welcome, Mike.
Thanks, Seth. Happy to be here.
So glad to talk to you again and catch up with you. As you guys know, I'm a business broker in the Pacific Northwest covering the West Coast, and I enjoy just sharing great practices and helping my audience learn. The first thing we're going to do, though, is we're going to answer the big picture question today. And that is, why do some business owners build companies that are worth millions while others simply buy themselves a job? And after Mike and I go through our conversation, we hope you'll have the answer to that, and we'll circle back to that in just a second. Mike, how did you become an entrepreneur?
Reluctantly kicking and screaming. No, that's not quite true. Like a lot of people, I started with, I call them jobbies. You know, you kind of have a hobby that you're doing in your garage. And I did some of that, and I was working for a Fortune 500 company doing operations, a few thousand units over multiple states. And my area did great, and the company as a whole had a failing year, so no bonuses. And I'm like, this hurts. And then the board voted bonuses. I'm like, yay, I'm gonna get paid. But they spread it evenly amongst everybody. It wasn't like performance based, and that was just the nail in the coffin. I'm like, oh man, I'm killing myself. I'm performing, and the guy that was sitting at home phoning it in is getting the same amount of money as me. This doesn't feel good. And that's when I started looking in earnest for something else to do for myself.
Very smart. I mean, meritocracy has a lot of goodwill to it, and being socialized like that, I definitely see the incentives. Now let's dig into some of your favorite topics. I know from talking to you the enjoyment you get from helping business owners, or soon-to-be business owners, right? Because you could help both sellers and those who want to become a business owner create value for themselves, obviously over a job, like what you did for yourself. So first, if we're talking to a business owner, we're talking about how to build value and to prepare for exit. Why do some franchise owners build businesses that command a premium valuation while others struggle to maybe even sell it all?
Yeah, is it the $64 million question now? I don't think it's $64,000 anymore. Inflation has taken hold. And maybe that reference won't hold with some of the younger viewers. But anyway, the biggest thing is the owner themselves. If they're the center of attention, if all things, decisions, or even some decisions go through the owner, they're a roadblock to that valuation. The more you could remove yourself from the operation, the more saleable the business is. Like, is someone coming in doesn't want to have to replace you and train a manager. They just want to take over what you have and probably in their minds improve it, but not have to like make up for you leaving. And I think a lot of business owners, they operate their business. They're literally stuck in it. They're trapped in it. The operator trap. They're stuck in that business, and they're the key piece. And if they leave, there is no business. So that's why they're not just not even not valuable. They're just not even saleable.
And it's all about delegation and trust. You're just not seeing the big picture, Rick. I don't know if you have.
Yeah. Everyone, and I mean, literally everyone I talk to says, I can't find anyone as good as me to do fill in the blank task. No one cares as much as I do. I tried hiring people and they failed. And these are a common theme that they're just a myopic view on how they were, as you said, delegating. They weren't delegating. They were probably abdicating. They're like, go do this task with no direction, no training, no operations, no SOP, no anything. And then the person likely didn't do it the way the owner wanted it done or to their standard or, fill in the blank reason. And then, the owner steps in.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And then they're like, I tried everything. Well, you tried once or you tried twice. You didn't, the mindset shift there is, how can I find someone who's better at this task than I am? And once I made that leap, it really opened up the expansion. And, we started growing faster and just had to get out of people's way. Like I started becoming the roadblock the opposite direction. I was slowing people down.
Agreed. 100%. Now look at you today. You're traveling and you still have ongoing profitable businesses that you're able to manage. You're not in the business. You're working on it.
Right.
So you've obviously witnessed a lot of things. What is the biggest mistake owners make, when they're thinking about building value in their business?
Yeah, the biggest owner they mistake is generally ego based, and it's believing that they are the most important piece of their business, which makes sense on the surface, right? It's like, it's my business, I own it. No one's going to care as much as I do. Therefore, I have to insert myself in the business all over the place. And it's the one thing that just kills growth eventually. There's only 168 hours in the week and you can't work all of them. And even if you get it when you're working 40, if you're still working those 40 and whoever buys it has to replace that, it's just not easy or something most people want to do. So it's getting out of your own business. You can own the business without operating the business. It's kind of this crazy mindset. That's number one. And number two is if they do get into that spot, because I've also made this mistake, Seth, is you don't look at any or the correct key performance indicators or KPIs, and then the business starts to suffer or almost fail in my case. Hopefully you catch it in time where you could jump back in and make some adjustments. But I'm not advocating like you can't spend zero time on your business. There's no such thing as truly passive income. But I am advocating looking at the right KPIs, having effective short meetings, being involved where it makes sense, but not being like the driver. You're supposed to set the strategy and allocate the resources, and then let the people you hired do the actual work.
Imagine you got a dashboard. It's got stuff around AR, how much your accounts payable is, working capital, sales, unit growth, and then you're calling your team once periodically to check in with them, make sure that everybody's happy.
Yeah, it's a bi-weekly meeting right now, and then a quarterly visit and actually I'm overdue on my quarterly visit, but it's generally a quarterly visit. And exactly those things. Another thing I look at that can kill you in the quick serve area is labor. That's very important. And then customer satisfaction, not just their overall satisfaction. People say they're happy, but I like to look at their likelihood to recommend and their likelihood to return on when we survey people. And then I love, this sounds like crazy to almost everyone I say it to, I love looking at the negative comments or the bad things that happen. Used to really bother me. I'm like, oh, the customer doesn't understand. It's like, no, this is a great opportunity to make a change, because 1 out of 100, 1,000, 10,000 people actually take the time to write out why they weren't happy. So we're probably not serving a lot of people really well. So this is a great area where we could now, up our game. That's where I spend. Those are the key KPIs that I look at now.
That's a good one. I like it. A lot of people can learn from that.
Yeah.
At what point does a business stop being a job and then it starts turning into an asset?
Yeah, when it doesn't actually need you anymore to run. And I don't mean day to day, I mean like really at all.
How do you recognize that?
So my metric where I figured out for myself was I went on a vacation. It's the first vacation, and I could tell that story if you want, but
Sure.
where I realized that I needed to make some changes, and then I started taking a series of vacations afterwards, like longer ones and shorter ones, to see what would break. And then whatever broke when I was gone, I'd change the policy, put in a new procedure, figure out someone else to do it, implement training, whatever it is. So I was just removing myself one step at a time from the day-to-day operation of the business. There's some things you don't even realize that you're the roadblock on or you're responsible for until you're not available to do it.
That's a great way to do it. I like that. If you're able to run and you're on vacation, I can just move on to my next project and do the things you're doing.
Yeah.
And I'm guessing this probably leads into this next question, which is, how can an owner tell if they built a sellable business versus one that only works if you're there?
Yeah, if they're still, again, into the, like we were just talking about, if they're still running the day-to-day, I'm not saying it's not saleable, but it's a lot harder to sell. And I'm sure, Seth, you've seen this more than I have. Versus they have a key manager or managers, depending on the size of the business, in place. They have a dashboard. They have everything operationalized. They've figured out all their, and people overthink SOPs. It's like, they're so easy. They're not so easy, but they can be easier to do than you think of. It's not sitting at a computer and typing it out. You could just, like we're doing now, just record an SOP as you're doing it. Just verbal diarrhea. I'm going to this website, I'm checking this thing, I go over here, boom, there's your SOP, hand it off to someone. They can take care of it. But to get back to the question, if all those things are in place and it's just a change of ownership, a lot easier to sell than, okay, and now we have to train someone to do everything that last owner was doing.
And I would say from my perspective, selling businesses, I've seen companies that are full absentee, not, completely, obviously, like what you're describing, to having an owner that works 40 or 80 and, buyers will buy the businesses. They just have to adjust the replacement cost of ownership, it's still a good business, right? Just because the owner works 40 hours now will be more valuable, to an owner who, hey, I just want to run it and watch it, than for that specific, if it's an owner operator, then they can fill in that role. But I do agree with you. The optimal is the ability to work on the business and not be in a critical scheduling or the design of a product, et cetera, role.
Yeah, I knew I was finally successful when our holiday seasons in the bakery business are big. Christmas, Easter, Mother's Day. You get the idea. And I was always a driving force the early years. And one year, the team looked at me and they're like, "Can you just okay, we're saying this with all due respect. Can you just leave?" And I'm like, "What? Like, you're slowing us down. Can you just go do something else? We got this." And I'm like, "Oh shit. All right."
Getting in my way.
Yeah. That's what I'm like. Oh, I'm there. Woo.
Great. The best thing you did was leave.
Yeah, exactly. What? People will fail.
Yeah.
They're going to make mistakes. They're going to cost you money.
It's okay.
And it always seems to hurt more when someone else costs you money. We all seem to forget the mistakes that we made in business that cost us money.
Yes, that's true.
And, we forget we're not perfect. I could think of so many that cost so much, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars in mistakes, Seth. But when someone goes and blows $1,000 on something, you're just like, "Oh my God, that's the end of the world." And you totally forgot that I just blew $50,000 the month before making a bad decision. You gotta live through that and train through that and yeah, dare I say it, love through that, and let people know that it's not the end of the world and what they learn from it, and then keep that training going and move forward. And they'll eventually grow into a great leader if you keep working with them.
Makes sense. I'm meeting with the business owner. I can tell that the business is dependent on him. What systems are you going to recommend that he can create value in that business from a buyer's perspective?
So the systems he or she should create are all of them. There should be a system for everything, literally. Sure. A system for everything. I resisted this for so long, Seth. My background's in aviation engineering, and there's all systems and processes in aviation engineering. That's why aviation is so safe and why engineering is so safe. In corporate America, I had systems and processes, and I got my own business. I'm like, I don't I don't want to do this anymore. I hate the meetings. I hate everything written down. I hate that I have to like find this subset and do it this way. I'm just going to empower everyone, and we're just going to sing kumbaya and have this great business. And it works for a minute, and then it doesn't. So you just need to have these systems, and the systems, people overthink it. It's not like where am I going to find time to sit down and write this stuff out? I used to say, let's take your biggest moneymaker and systemize that right away. And then I find people would struggle with it. It's just too big, too amorphous, too much work for the first time out of the gate. Now I'm like, take the simplest thing you do, the easiest, simplest thing you do in your business, and let's make a process out of it. And they'll laugh like, well, we order coffee and vending machine stuff once a month. I'm like, great, let's make a process. Well, why do we need a process of that? You go to the website and order some stuff. I'm like, let's make a process out of it.
Exactly.
And we'll sit down and we'll fire up Zoom or Descript or some other video software and just record making, like, I go here, I do this, I click over here. This is how I know how much I need, blah, blah, blah. And then you hand it. I'm like, great, next month, hand it off to someone else and have them do it. You don't do it. Well, it only takes me 5 minutes. I'm like, I don't care if it takes you 1 minute. You're not doing it anymore. Hand it off. They get that handoff. They get the dopamine hit. And you get the dopamine hit. You're like, oh, I accomplished something. This is really good. Then we'll do something else. Then we'll do something else. And by the time you're building up to the actual hard stuff, it's never easy, but it's so easier. And then you got to leave some room for making improvements in them. Like what gets you to 100,000 in sales is going to break before you get to 1 million in sales, is going to break before you get to 10 million in sales. But, recognize that and then just keep updating your processes and systems. But the key to this answer here is put in systems that remove you from the system.
And the world just gave you AI to complement that, right? It's not only are
100%.
you advocating systems, now you can use AI and doing it in the same way as what people are advocating. Take your simplest process, make it work, then go to the next one and build up on your complexity with knowledge.